So,
Yeah,
yes.
you know how it goes?
Yep.
Okay. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt of Pacific Private Money and Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Besides Zeppo, what was the name of the fifth Marx brother? And you have to name them in order and give their social security number. No, I'm just kidding.
You
Okay.
took notes over there, Robert. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the
Not
oldest was Chico, then Harpo, then Groucho. Zeppo was the youngest, and then there was Gummo.
Gummo.
Now, who would know their
What?
kid Gummo?
Gummo.
Not Gumbo, but Gummo. Maybe they sipped on some gum one
I
time.
like shrimp gumbo.
Take it away, Forrest. Okay, Bubba. So, Mark, you want to continue on with what you had?
So last segment we were talking about how Bay Area has posted approximately 22% year-over-year price increases on real estate, according to an article in the paper from Case-Shiller. And then we were talking a little bit about how lack of inventory is driving those price increases. And I had mentioned that I'm hearing anecdotally, and I tend to think that there might be some truth in that. That one of the reasons, and we'll get into another reason that Robert touched on, but one of the reasons that might be driving the lack of inventory is the banks, and this is for your conspiracy theorists, the banks are holding foreclosed inventory off the market, and they're taking longer to foreclose on existing defaulted homeowners, which I think we all know people, some of them are friends, some of them are family members who have been living in their homes 2 to 3 years now and haven't made a mortgage payment in all that
But
time.
also the Case-Shiller, I want to ask you, the Case-Shiller index, though, is, what, about 3 months behind?
It's about, it's a 90-day lag.
So I wonder, what it...
Well, the last 90 days, just again, from our business, we've seen prices continue to increase, a couple of percent per month.
So for your investor clients, they're sitting that much prettier with extra protected equity.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Absolutely.
So hard money loans right now are a lot easier to make. Well, loans in general are easier to make in a rising market where your equity is continuing to go up. But let's just continue on with the lack of inventory, because there was another article that I picked up this week, and again, Robert touched on it last segment. Lack of equity is hindering housing recovery, and I think people will be astounded, really, and I was, to read this figure. 44% of homeowners with mortgages owed either more than their properties are worth or had less than 20% equity. And that's in the first quarter. That's in the first quarter.
That's close to half of the homeowners in the country. I mean, they said who have mortgages, and I would guess that out of 100 homeowners, probably 90 at least have mortgages.
Okay, so wait, that tells me then that the recovery is still a long way.
It's sort of a bifurcation, actually. You have people who...
That's too sophisticated a word for me.
It's split in half.
There we go.
You got or you don't got.
So if you have nearly half of the homeowners, and this is a nationwide figure, so I don't know how this
it's kind of hard because
how this equates to the Bay Area, but if you nationally you've got nearly half of homeowners who can't sell because they don't have enough equity. So it's not enough to just be not underwater in order to have a home that you owe 150, it's worth 150. You need to have at least 20% equity above and beyond your mortgage if you want to sell and move. Because how are you going to buy the next house?
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't have any capital, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could go ahead and get an FHA loan for 5% down, but still, if you have 20% equity, if your house is worth 80% of its current value, you think, thank God I can sell now. I'm not underwater. I don't have to go to bankruptcy. I don't have to have a short sale, which ruins my credit. Finally, my house is worth enough. I can sell it. And wait a minute. Then what do I do?
Well, I just thought about this one. Is it possible? Let's say you're underwater in your house, but you find a house that you really like, and you've got some capital, a little bit of capital. Can you buy that next one as your personal residence, and then go to try to sell your other one?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I think
of course, as a mortgage broker, assuming that they're going to apply for a mortgage, the answer is, as always, it depends. If they own their house and are paying on it and their credit's good, whether or not they have equity and they want to buy another property, What are they gonna do with the existing house?
Well, eventually they'll try to sell it.
Eventually they'll sell
But
it.
if they do it
But-
now, though, it may hurt their credit
It-
potentially.
Yeah, and so they would have to qualify
Yeah.
for all of the mortgages on both properties.
Oh, that's right.
So you're
And-
suggesting they
and-
buy a house now and then short sale the other house?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But the thing is,
But,
like, but they won't qualify.
and most of the banks are gonna say that,
they
wait a
can't
minute,
qualify for the old because the old one's
you
still.
can't be buying a
Say, but
primary.
yeah, but I don't plan to pay that mortgage.
Yeah, you can't buy, you can't buy another house.
I don't think that'll work.
Yeah.
They'll look at, the banks look at it and say, the house that you're,
Not-
you can't do it because the new house you're gonna buy, you're gonna say is your primary residence, and they're gonna say, what's gonna happen to the other house?
Well, let's
we-
just not
we
pay
can-
attention to that side of the ledger.
They tend not
They
to
tend
do
not
that.
to do
The
that.
banks are not easing up in their,
Okay.
in their, looking at, people for mortgages.
So I want to circle back and make a point here and a prediction. And based on this article about nearly half of homeowners in the United States don't have enough equity to sell their home, that is a tremendous untapped market of people who will ultimately want to, I mean, because there's move up. People live in a
Sure.
house for a certain amount of period. So, you know, we've discussed in real estate investing, there's always this talk of how every peak in real estate has ultimately been surpassed by the next peak. We have, you know, just like there's the cycle, there's the real estate cycle, just like the business cycle, real estate goes up, real estate goes down. So if there was any doubt in your mind whether real estate is going to get back to 2006 levels, my prediction is it absolutely will, and it will sooner than we think it will. And the reason it's going to is because until it does, we're going to have this problem with a lack of inventory. And when you have a lack of inventory, you have people who push up prices. It's
Well,
supply and demand. So whether we want to or not, kicking and screaming, I predict we're going to see price levels back to 2006. And you know, I think some of us were predicting it might take 10 years for that to happen. I'm thinking based on what's happening in the last 12 months that it's going
Well,
to happen
if
sooner
the
rather than later.
economy gets better and you get a lot more jobs out there, then it probably will happen
Then it
sooner.
would happen sooner,
Sure.
but one of the things that's happened, oddly enough, is rents have gone up significantly. And so, I mean, I have people coming to me to see if they can qualify to buy a property because their rents have gone up such that even though the values are increasing and the amount they have to pay is more than it was a half a year ago, they still can buy a property, put a small amount down, and their monthly cost will not be significantly different than if they were
But
renting.
again, they still have to qualify for it, which eventually will, when we get to the next segment, we're going to have an email
Yes.
from a listener who kind of right up
Yes.
your alley there, my friend.
Now, one final point. What can screw up that prediction of how fast we reach, you know, whether we can reach 2006 levels, say, in the next 5 years, are whether mortgage rates spike unexpectedly. And that's the thing that everyone is wondering about and concerned about in terms of, will that derail any price
Well,
recovery
and
in
then
real
eventually
estate?
we're going to have another election. That always kind of makes people a little
Then the
skittish.
rates will be down during that time, certainly.
You think so?
Oh, well, they just prime it for the election to make everything look good.
Yeah, but you don't have a repeat president. It's
But the-
party
yes,
driven.
Yeah,
Right.
and actually the rates did spike.
They have
last
spiked.
week significantly.
They're all the way up to 4%.
Woohoo!
Oh my God, what a ripoff.
Next time, we're going to cut to another commercial break here. Before we do, next time you use the word bifurcate, don't ask me to spell it. The last word I got to spell in a spelling bee was boat. And then when I had to spell mad, I spelled it M-H-A-D because mad. The guy was really mad. Okay, we are going to cut to the next commercial break. Before we do, there's another guy. I'm sorry. Robert, do you keep sending me these puns? Is that where I'm getting all this from?
Oh, I don't
I'm
know.
getting flack. I'm getting
What's your
flack all
joke
over
writer?
the
I'm
place
gonna
here.
beat him up.
Yeah.
Flat pun.
Black button, yeah. Okay, before we cut to the commercial break, next week we're going to have another special trivia contest. This one's going to be the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel, and they're celebrating their 15-year partnership with the Pageant of the Masters and Festival of Arts for the summer of 2013. So we're perfect timing here. Call the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel at 800-241-3333 and ask about the Behind the Velvet Rope experience, which includes accommodations, preferred seating, and backstage tour of the Pageant of Masters. Call, that's 800-241-3333, or go to ritzcarlton.com/Laguna Pageant And again, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to that Laguna, Ritz-Carlton, but that is a very fabulous place, right on the water. Okay, the commercial break trivia question number 2. Again, old TV and movies. Who didn't actually say, play it again, Cheyenne? Who didn't say that? The first 3 callers with the correct answer, because everyone thinks he did. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. And you can't just guess anybody in the world who didn't say it, because that doesn't count. This is somebody who everyone thinks says it, but didn't actually say it. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Who didn't say, but who's credited with saying, play it again, Sam? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, email address, spell your email letter, spell your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because we are coming right back. You guys know that one?
Humphrey Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart. He didn't say it.
Woody Allen.
Who said it? No.
Humphrey Bogart didn't say it. Didn't you ask who did not say it?
That's because what he really said was